This is a review of set 75277 Boba Fett helmet with 625 pieces, originally retailing for $60 back in 2020, and was part of the original Star Wars helmet line. Even though the set has no minifigures, I was going to get the actual minifigure to compare for the Boba Fett. I was actually originally thinking it was the Book of Boba Fett version of Boba Fett, but now I know it's the original one from Empire Strikes Back, of course the more iconic one, because this helmet released again in 2020 and Book of Boba Fett came out in 2021, so now I know what I'm comparing it to, and of course both versions are pretty accurate, but I'm going to be comparing it to the helmet because I find that this one is from the mix set, and it has a lot more detail. I'll keep it on the minifigure though, so it sort of stands out a little bit more, but now I'm going to go into more detail of the actual battle damage, because so far for the actual shape and everything, they do get it pretty right, but it's mainly the battle damage that they get a little bit wrong. It's mainly that they do miss some battle damage, especially here on like the visor, as well as some stuff down here, and then again I see one over here, but nothing much besides that. They do include one which is over here, which I don't really like how they only include one. It kind of looks weird. I would have just preferred like a completely clean look, but of course they don't really do that for the helmets because they don't even tile off. Again, one of the major flaws of this helmet, and this was the first helmet, so I will give it some grace, or I guess it was the first one in the line. It does have a ton of studs exposed, which kind of sucks, and of course it has some complicated building techniques here which make it so there's no studs exposed, and that is pretty accurate. If you take a look at the side of the helmet here, of course the figure does have a helmet hole for the visor, the antenna visor, whatever, or the rangefinder is what I mean, because I will talk about that a little bit later because I'm reviewing this because of the new Jango Fett helmet releasing. But if I take a look side to side here, it does look pretty accurate. I feel like the helmet is a lot more accurate than what we see in the actual Boba Fett like minifigure, and here there is no like color changing, but I like how it's a lot more detail and there is two different color changes in the helmet, which I think is very, very nice. If you look on the back here, there's even some great pieces here, so they definitely don't skip out on the detail. I do wish this top dome was actually tiled off, but they don't really do that for any newer helmets either, and it does have overall good shaping, which I'll go back to, as well as the rangefinder, which I think I'll talk about now because there's actually a big discussion around it, because there is a new visor or rangefinder coming out in the new UCS Slave 1, which hopefully will be included in a bunch of other sets, which features a way thicker visor, which I'm not really going to discuss if it's accurate, more accurate than the current one. Of course, I'm talking about the minifigure one here, which is a lot thinner, but actually in some newer helmets, of course not really that new, but newer than the Boba Fett, we do get a thinner rangefinder or like visor, which I think is more accurate to the ones that we're currently getting, or the ones that were actually released in this time technically. So there isn't really anything bad about that, but I wish they would actually use this one, which is a lot more thicker and more accurate to the minifigure. In the newer not Boba Fett, the new Jango Fett helmet, use the same one as the Boba Fett helmet does. Sadly, I don't think they will, and they're probably gonna stick with the other one. I like this one a lot better because it doesn't seem as flimsy, and when I like extend it down, it doesn't really like bend a lot. I'll show you what I mean, because sometimes this is a little bit like shaky here. As you can see, if I just move it a little bit, it shakes a lot, and you can just like twist it here, which might be a little bit more accurate, but I don't really like it. And this part isn't really adjustable. Technically it's not accurate to adjust it, but this does come with a feature to adjust it if you want to, so I like this one a lot better. See, as you go up and down, it doesn't like shake at all, and this is an older model, so some of the pieces are a little bit like bent and stuff, and not the highest quality of course, and it still doesn't shake at all. And I think it's a lot better than the older one, or technically the newer one, so I wish they would have included this in the newer ones, the newer Jango Fett helmet, and of course all the newer ones to come. Hopefully I'll talk about some other helmets later in this video. But now I'm going to talk a little bit about this display stand here, which we do get the same, basically the same display stand in every single set. We of course get the printed piece here, so no stickers in the set, unlike the Jango Fett, because that does have a couple stickers, not for the printed plate though, so I'm happy they've been printing that. So it is technically an exclusive piece there with Boba Fett. Not too detailed, nothing like really cool, but it is cool for a like 18 plus set, $16 18 plus set. But It does come with a pretty nice stand. It does use some Technics, so it's a lot stronger, so it actually keeps the helmet up. If you look on the bottom here, it does have pretty evenly support. It doesn't really like tip over at all. It is completely stable at all times, so I'm glad they've been keeping the same sort of scale so they can use the same stand. And I'm assuming it will be in the Kylo Ren helmet as well as, of course, the Jango Fett helmet. Like I said, there's also going to be a Kylo Ren helmet, which I don't think is as good as the Jango Fett helmet for the same exact price. And I actually like the Jango Fett helmet a lot. I know it's very similar to the Boba Fett helmet, but there is, of course, a recolor, and there's actually a lot of other pieces, stuff that are changed, which I think is like a lot better. This part, I think, is smoothed out. Of course, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better, I think, than the Boba Fett helmet. I think it's a little bit cooler to see Jango Fett helmet on display than a Boba Fett helmet on display. But that is going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing rest of your day, and see you all in the next one.